Chapter 6. And where is your thought right now? I shall not concern the reader with further examples. Each one can ascertain independently from his own life what segments of his being have been created by his own thought, and what segments by somebody else's. To answer this question once and for all, let's start by stating the obvious. Thought is precursor to everything. As I have already indicated, to anyone who succeeds in not only becoming aware of this, but in feeling it as well, many secrets of the universe will be revealed. First and foremost, a distinct picture of creation will appear. God created the world in which we live through the help of a dream, with the energy of his thought. He created man, giving him complete freedom of action, and endowing him with powerful energy capable of creating similar worlds, or possibly worlds even more perfected than the earth. In order to create new worlds, or to perfect the world already created, it is vital that the speed of man's thinking match that of the divine. However, one glance at the world created by human society clearly shows that it is not only imperfect, but poses an ever-increasing danger to existence. Consequently, a degradation of consciousness is clearly taking place, or more precisely, man's speed of thought is diminishing. The very first people possessed a speed of thinking equal to the divine. It could not have been otherwise, since, like any parent creator, God could not even think of creating his child less perfect than himself. What powers could have proved capable of influencing human consciousness and aiming it down the path of degradation? If anyone had the power to do so, that means he would be able to surpass the energy of thought of both God and man. But there is no such being, either on the earth or anywhere else. Proof of this statement is simplicity itself. If there existed an entity possessing a greater speed of thinking than man, it would long ago have created its own world, and we would be able to see it. To either redirect or subjugate the energy of human thought is something only human thought itself can do. In other words, one man possessing a greater speed of thought than the rest and wanting to subjugate others could, under certain circumstances, do so. In today's situation, human society has been subjugated to the descendants of the Egyptian priests who preserved the knowledge of the science of imagery and who maintained, with the help of special exercises, the capability of thinking at a much greater speed than the vast majority of people living on the earth. For further details, see books 4 and 6, especially book 6, chapter 6, Imagery and Trial. And there are circumstances which confirm this to be the status quo. There is one man who has proved capable of standing up to the priests one-on-one. Man with a capital M. I am talking, of course, about the Siberian recluse Anastasia. And note that she achieves palpable results without the help of any kind of army or technical superstructures, but simply by virtue of the power of her thought. That mankind is beginning, at the dawn of a new millennium, to enter into a divine world of splendor is, to me personally, an indisputable fact. I should like to share some joyful news with my readers. I have it on reliable authority that several individual groups of scholars have been working independently of each other on a program of national development according to an image created by Anastasia. Not just people with academic degrees, but students as well, have been involved in these projects. To develop a program like this in detail requires approximately 2 to 3 years of persistent work on the part of a whole army of specialists. But the first glimpse of it you can already catch even now. For example, on the internet site www.anastasia.ru has published a paper by a fourth-year Ukrainian university student outlining a program of development for Ukraine based on Anastasia's idea of family domains. People all over Russia and the Commonwealth of Independent States have been sending in draft constitutions for future communities. It is not for me to judge the merits of this young woman's paper, but it is already significant simply by virtue of its being the first one published. It is also important to note that these scholars became involved not by a dint of someone's commission, but by the dictates of their own hearts. It won't be long before you get a chance to become acquainted with and to discuss their highly important works. Somewhere there was a footnote. People all over Russia and the Commonwealth of Independent States have been sending in draft constitutions for future communities. Footnote, Commonwealth of Independent States, an organization made up of mostly the former Soviet republics founded in December 1991, immediately following the dissolution of the USSR, to facilitate trade ties as well as mutual cooperation in matters of foreign policy and defense. It does not include Estonia, Latvia, or Lithuania. Moreover, Georgia and Turkmenistan have opted for less than full membership status. I think these projects will be set forth for a public discussion under the umbrella name of the National Idea. Footnote, indeed, in 2006, 4 years after this book was originally published in Russia, the Russian government put forth 4 national projects: strong agriculture, affordable housing, high-quality education, and healthcare. A number of prominent politicians, including Vladimir Zhirinovsky, the leader of Russia's Liberal Democratic Party and deputy head of the Russian Duma, or parliament, have openly declared that the concept of this king's domain should become the basis for implementation of these national projects. More recently, in March 2007, Dmitry Medvedev, Russia's deputy prime minister in charge of the national projects, publicly stated that the idea of king's domains was fully aligned with the government's own priorities. I could have included these passages in my previous book following the account of my conversation with Anastasia's grandfather. I didn't. I thought it would be premature. As it is, many people dismiss Anastasia's powers as bordering on fantasy or fairy tales. My conversation with her grandfather, however, revealed to me even more extraordinary phenomenon than any Anastasia had shown me earlier, and helped me see Anastasia herself in a new light. Now that current events in human society have begun to confirm what I heard back in the Siberian taiga, I shall cite part of my conversation with her grandfather.